Slow Death by Carnifex. Last time they wanted us to die without hope, and then they gave us hope because the album was really, really good. So, since this is called Slow Death, maybe the album is going to be like 80 minutes long? No, the opposite, doesn't even make the 40, so I don't know. Their titles seem like they are encouraging our death for one, and it's a ceremony of opposites. Whatever. It's cool. Die Without Hope was a big album for this band. Definitely revitalized a lot of interest. There was interest before. It's not like it faded all of that much, but brought a lot more people into the fold. It was seen as one of those real crescendo points, one of those crest points, and the hope is that Carnifex now can be on that musical plateau that I haven't talked about in a while, where they have a couple of albums of just stellar material. So let's take a look. Let's see what Slow Death is able to accomplish. This could really be a very big make-or-break moment, considering follow-ups to, very well-beloved albums are usually seen as a real diction point as to where they're heading. So, Slow Death, this 10-track affair, doesn't even make it to 40 minutes. Pretty good. That's, good start. It's not going to overstay its welcome. And plus, these guys are kind of the, I guess, the prodigal sons of deathcore. They're sort of the favorite sons a little bit. These guys have a different sound that's based off of their love for, a little bit more of the extreme metal side of it, as opposed to being derivative and just having a love affair with breakdowns. And Dark Heart Ceremony, they take their first bold risk on this album. They have a near 5-minute track, which is the longest song on this album, starting off this disc. And, we just talked about a band that did this in Travesty, and we did that during the 5 recently released albums that you should check out. And you should check out that album, cheap plug. And it didn't work out as well for that group, but it works out for Carnifex because their sound is very well tailored, and it's almost serving as a fitting introduction to sort of the dark, the carnal, the destructive atmosphere that they're able to perpetuate with their soaring guitars, with their thumping bass, and just these vocals that feel like they are from a different dimension than some of the others in the deathcore universe. Mainly because these feel pure. These have a little bit more of a root within that extreme metal or that death metal. This feels more like, and I hate getting into this argument because deathcore is metal, okay, but this sounds a little bit more closely tied to sort of that old school or that death metal philosophy as opposed to the deathcore label that they get. But it's understandable why they get it also, considering some of their compositional structure. So why do we debate it? I don't know. Slow Death is the first taste of this album, Slow Death, that many people got. This is the first single, and many were extremely impressed by this. They felt that it was going to be an adequate follow-up to Die Without Hope. If not, maybe it had the opportunity to supersede it. Now, this song reminds me of a lot of different things, and especially whenever it is countered with Drown Me in Blood, which is the next track, and really even going into tracks such as Black Candles Burning, some of these big choruses and these, stops that really operate best whenever it has that sort of swirling guitar go around it. I remember a Naglfar song, Naglfar's Black God Aftermath, I believe was the title of the track. It was off of, I want to say, Sheol. It was an exceptional song, and it was one whose atmosphere was sort of curdled around just this sinister overall riff that then made it to the sort of open-ended portion right there in the middle. Very airy, very spacey, and then you just heard that, big, destructive yell of the 3 words, the title drop, and it just hits you with such a ferocity. And I feel that a lot on the first half of this Carnifex album. I feel that some of these choruses do have a little bit more of that big pop ferocity to them, and I feel that based off of that, it also really gives each song a real individual boost in order to collectively strengthen this album. Now, whenever we get into Necrotoxic, going into Life Fades to a Funeral, this is a neat little cycle that we see here, considering at the end of Necrotoxic, we fade right into the softness and the very dirge-like sounds of Life Fades to a Funeral, which then fades in turn to Countess of the Crescent Moon. And I like how these sort of run together a little bit to make a little bit of a story arc, even if they are, in the long run, not connected whatsoever. It has this sort of unique musical connection to it, which gives it a nice bridge. And also what helps this, what really does help this, is the fact that it's 10 minutes worth of the album, not even. We're very close. We're talking the 9-minute range. That flows together so nicely that it could be one individual song and it would have worked out just fine. So basically, Carnifex, what I'm saying to you is that you just pulled off a near 10-minute long track and probably didn't even intend to. So you could do it. You actually have the ability. So might be a nice challenge. Servants to the Horde as the final cut on this album feels a little bit weak. That's the one thing that I will sort of complain a little bit. It has, once again, one of those very big choruses that, you know, it's definitely got one of those just massive, massive moments where you just hear this band sort of peaking, and then the song itself near the end just fades and doesn't seem to deliver very much. You expect a little bit more, maybe from this cut, maybe a blood-curdling scream, either that or something that has a lot more power and energy to leave you with something that's going to cause you more memory of this album, or at least of this final notch of it. But instead, this is one that feels, it's more like a 9-cut affair, and the 10th one is just sort of a half. I don't know. It's a weird way to look at things. But this one just didn't feel as good. So did Slow Death match the ferocity of Die Without Hope? It definitely did its best. It did what it could. It's a very different sounding album in some ways. They share a lot of similar traits whenever it comes to composition, but whenever it comes to overall execution, it's certainly one that feels that Die Without Hope is just a pinch better. But that's not a bad thing. If you're just a pinch worse than an album like Die Without Hope that was like a 91 or 92 out of 100 album, you're still doing something right. 89 out of 100. It's a great, enjoyable listen. It's definitely one that doesn't overstay its welcome. And it's an album that feels like a worthy follow-up to Die Without Hope. It doesn't feel like it's trying to compete all of that much with it. But it instead feels like it's attempting to, you know, it's like the little brother to the big brother of Die Without Hope. And the little brother wants to be so like its older brother. But in ways, it does showcase their differences. I want to know what you guys think about Slow Death by Carnifex. Let me know in the comments below. My name is coverkillernation. These guys' names are Carnifex. They're very, very good. If you've not checked them out yet, if this is your first exposure to this name, do check them out and leave a like. You know, if you like this album, you know, the little comment, subscribe thing too. I've never been very good at doing that. You know. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Want to see my ukulele? It's a ukulele. I can't play this thing. I don't even know if I can make noise on this thing. Everybody's gonna die because I can't play this fucking thing.